All right. Today we're going to be talking about prehab, rehab exercises. I'm going to try and break this down into a few categories. So there are, as we all know, I would hope prehab, rehab exercises are any exercise that you're going to do to either help prevent an injury or help get back from an injury. Um, there are a lot of prehab, rehab exercises that I put in my programming, and I either program them to do every day or I program the exercises depending on what the big movement is going to be for that day. And I'll break down what I mean by that. So, like I said, prehab, rehab exercises, anything that you do to either come back from an injury or prevent an injury. And a lot of times, in my opinion, these exercises should be done pretty regularly, some of them, if not every day that you train. So, as I'm breaking it down, the way I go about it, what are prehab, rehab exercises that I like to do every day? It's going to look something along the lines of some type of movement that's going to be almost full body in a sense. So, examples of exercises every day would be things like sled drags, prowler pushes, prowler pull, farmer's carries, wheelbarrow walks. Things like that. So as you can see, all these exercises that I just listed, more so are going to look like exercises that you're going to have to probably do either outside or in like a space where there's turf, so on and so forth. All of them are really good at getting the heart rate going, getting the blood pumping, and helping increase or warm the body, helping increase muscle elasticity. All these exercises I usually do at the beginning of a workout. I just put them under like general physical preparedness because, in my opinion, that's what they are. Um, they do obviously carry over to other workouts like being strong in other movements. However, the biggest thing that they do is they help increase your work capacity, help get you warm, help get you ready for the workout. Also, some of these exercises that I've listed, while I like to do them in the beginning, they could be really good to do at the end of working out as well, or also for injury rehabilitation. Things like, especially the sled drags, are one that I would say is good to do both before and you can do after, both as a prehab, both as a rehab. One reason I would say that they're good as prehab, or I'm sorry, good as rehab exercises is because as you're doing them, you think about a walk. There is never the eccentric portion of a walk isn't loaded with the sled drag. So as you're walking, you're not eccentrically loading the muscle, which could further aggravate a strain or a tear of sorts. But as you come through, the concentric portion's loaded, blood gets to the area, potentially helps heal it up a bit faster. Um, and that's why I think doing things like this as a prehabilitative thing instead of a rehabilitative thing are better because, you get injured, and a lot of us don't want to end up doing any exercises. We take days off. Sometimes we do the wrong thing, like ice it, when really the right thing could be moving it, so on and so forth. So I would stick to doing those type of like things as a preventative measure, so you never have to do them as a rehabilitative measure. But these are exercises that I do every day. It doesn't matter if it's going to be a lower body day. It doesn't matter if it's going to be a deadlift day. It doesn't matter if I'm bench pressing that day. I do these exercises every day, not every single one of them, a type of them. So say for a week I might do sled drags. And then the next week I might do prowler pushes. Then the next week prowler pulls. And I'll keep rotating them around. And it always takes place at the beginning of my workout. That's how I do those prehabilitative exercises that I do every day. So it starts with them. Obviously I stretch and stuff, do like a dynamic workout, dynamic stretching warm up And then after that, I'm into these exercises. And like I said, they take place every day. And I rotate them around each week so that way it doesn't get stale. I get switched up. Obviously, if your gym doesn't have availability to this much equipment, maybe you should find a gym that does have that much availability to these different pieces of equipment, like we do here at Para Strength Company. So, an example of exercises that are rehabilitative that I will do depending on the day. So I'll write that depending would be things such as reverse hypers, leg raises, banded leg curl, banded extension, tricep extension, lat pulls, lat pull down, however you want to look at it, belt squats, say belt squat, toe touches. Those are examples of exercises that I will do at the end of a workout. So again, reverse hypers, leg raises, banded leg curl, banded tricep extension, lat pull down, belt squat, belt toe touches. So take an example like a day such as like squatting. If I'm going to squat that day or I'm going to deadlift that day, that's a good example of a day that I'm going to do belt squats. I like to do belt squats as a way to traction out my spine, warm up the movement pattern, get ready to go. So that way I'm not just getting under a barbell, going, not feeling ready to actually squat the weight that I need to squat that day. So I like to do belt squats as a nice warm up, and that's an example of an exercise or a pre-abilitative exercise that comes after this exercise, but before the main movement. Again, another great movement pattern warm up for like deadlifts. I like to do the belt squat toe touches. Once again, very much you're bending over, touching your toes, using your glutes, using your hamstrings, and you're in the belt squat, so it's taking off some of those compressive forces that you're then going to put on your spine. I don't like to warm up with a barbell. I feel like once I get to the barbell work, that's just, it's just time to start the work, I don't load the barbell up and like to my max weight for the day. I do a couple light sets, but I want to get into the work as fast as I possibly can when I'm in the gym. So that's why I usually try to do like belt squats, toe touches, or so on and so forth, beginning my workout. Lat pull downs is another good one that I will do usually bench press days and also sometimes squat days. I mean, thinking about it, there's nothing that you aren't using your upper back for, whether it's squatting, benching, or deadlifting, your upper back is going to be working in some capacity. So lat pull downs is a good exercise that I'm going to do. Once again, depending on the day, belt squats would be more for like squatting day, toe touches would be more for deadlifting day, lat pull is kind of like a bench day, so on and so forth. So like I said, these ones don't happen every day like these ones do. Moving forward from there, I'll go on and do like, especially if it's a deadlift day or a squat day, I'm doing reverse hypers before I start squatting, pretty much immediately before I start squatting. It's probably the last thing I do before I squat, and the last thing I'm going to do before I deadlift is a set of reverse hypers. And then at the end of the day, before I walk out the door on those days, squatting days, deadlift days, I'm going to do reverse hypers before I leave the gym that day. That's a big thing for me. If your gym doesn't have a reverse hyper, it's honestly a shit gym. You should probably just stop going to that gym. They don't care about you. They don't care about your back health. Fuck them, So reverse hypers are a huge, huge, huge exercise that I do. And I do a lot of them, like 4 sets of 25 at the beginning of my workouts, 4 sets of 25 at the end of my workouts. Hanging leg raises, yet again, another good one that I do on squatting and deadlifting day. Once again, kind of helps loosen up the low back a little bit, not nearly as much as a reverse hyper, but also kind of engages your core. Anything that could engage this area, your core, your lats, your glutes, your obliques, so on and so forth. Those are exercises you should be doing before you plan on getting vertically loaded. I know that these seem like warm-up exercises, but let's be honest, they are prehabilitative and rehabilitative exercises. Maybe more so prehabilitative is what I'm focusing on here, because as long as those areas are warmed up, it's probably going to decrease your risk of injury pretty substantially. And let's be honest, I think most of the time people get injured is by lack of a poor warming up. So those are exercises that I do depending on the day. Now, if we're getting into exercises like afterwards, I have some already written, but banded leg curl is one, banded extensions with the triceps. Calf raises is another good one. Sometimes actually I do some tibialis anterior work. And face pulls and pull aparts. All ones that I try to do at the end of my workout. So for these banded ones, I usually do high repetitions. This is definitely prehabilitative stuff. So usually for the leg curls, I'm doing sets of 100, maybe 2, even for the tricep extensions. The reason that is just kind of helps with the tendon health. The more elastic component that's involved in the bands kind of helps resemble the elastic component in the tendons. Obviously, the entire musculotendinous unit is pretty elastic, but those high repetitions help build that area up, prevent injuries. Also, going to the banded leg curls, those are really good exercises to do for people who have like knee pain. That was something that I was doing a while when I was like a little bit younger. I took them out. I started getting tremendous knee pain when I would squat and stuff. I put them back in, once again, the way I'm prescribing it, 100 reps at a time, and the knee pain's pretty much gone. So that's definitely big exercise I recommend. Big exercise I do at the end, always at the end of my like leg day or deadlift day. Not really one I do at the beginning. Those are a big thing I throw in. Highly recommend it. Moving down, doing calves. I do not have the biggest calves. Wish I did. Working on it. But I think training calf raises is really good to help with the Achilles tendon mobility, the ankle mobility as a whole. You don't want things to get too tight down there because that could just be an injury waiting to happen. So that's another one I try and throw in. Similar with the tibialis anterior there. I think it really just helps having knee health and ankle health. Training the front of the shin right here. Just doing some like toe raises with the kettlebell. That's a great exercise I try to throw in at the end. Once again, try to help the knee, try to help the ankle. Face pulls and pull aparts, I feel like these are pretty similar. Both are going to help with scapula movement, protraction, retraction. Big things that you're going to be doing when you're setting up for got a bar on your back to squat, when you're setting up for a deadlift, and a big thing when you're setting up for bench. So these two really help with all three of the lifts, or pretty much everything that you're going to do in the gym. But I mainly throw them in on like upper body days. Those are the big rehabilitative things that I do a lot of the time. Sorry, I got a question. Yeah. So, sorry, I got a question here. Yeah, you can get in contact with me if you're interested to learn more. You could just contact me through DMs. I have a Google My Business, which is Pair Strength Company, if you guys want to reach out that way. Those are the two ways. I'm going to put this video up on YouTube. I'll put the link in the my bio there. I plan on doing that this week. So any means, DM's usually going to be the best. I appreciate the support. But going through, like I said, this is how I program it. These exercises happen every day. These exercises are going to happen depending on what type of day, what the main lift is for that day. And these exercises usually happen after the big lift and dependent on the type of day. So I guess as an example, say we're going to do squats that day, and these are the rehabilitative exercises I am going to do. So I'm going to start off, we'll say we'll do sled drags. I'm just going to tow a sled behind me, maybe 4 trips of 60 meters at a time. That's what I'm going to do in the beginning. Once I'm done, I'm going to come in. I want to warm up the movement pattern. I want to warm up my low back, my glutes to try and make sure they're good to go. The elasticity's ready, the muscle elasticity, and the core. So I'll probably do reverse hypers. Well, in the correct order, I'll do belt squats, hanging leg raises, reverse hypers. I'm going to do that, probably 3 to 4 rounds of that for 25 reps. It's not supposed to be something that kills you, just something that gets you warmed up, ready to go. Once I do that, then I'm going to be into the big lift of the day. Like I said, today we're squatting, so it's going to be squats. We'll do squats, we'll do our supplemental exercises, we'll do a few accessories, and within those accessories, I'm going to also have probably calf raises, anterior tibialis anterior raises, and banded leg curls. Those are how I do my rehabilitative things. That's how I program it. Like that is, and I am going to post something like of all my exercises sequenced. But if you were to come train with me, that's exactly how I do it. If your training isn't geared around doing things that could keep you in the gym longer, it's probably not programmed correctly. And then you have exercises that are people say are rehabilitative, that I find are absolutely useless. 2 number one examples, I can't even give a number one spot to one or the other. Dead bugs and fucking bird dogs. I've never done them, and I tell you this right now, I'm not going to a gym and doing that. If I need to do it, I'll do it at my house, but I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that. I don't even know what they do. Some people say it's good for back health. Some people say it's good for core stability. Well, I mean, fucking, if that's the case, fucking hop on a reverse hyper or do some hanging leg raises. I don't think you need to be doing those exercises. So that's how I program it. Once again, I'll give you another example. If I did sled drags, moving on to the next week, I'll do prowler pushes in the beginning. Then I'll probably do maybe another set of more belt squats, more hanging leg raises, reverse hypers, and then maybe I'll do face pulls this time and banded leg curl again, just to get everything right. So a big part of my working out, a big portion, I'd say almost 33% of everything that I do working out wise is going to be geared towards being able to stay in the gym longer in terms of making sure my body is getting what it needs. Why are things like reverse hypers and belt squats so good? To me, at least, if you think about it, you squat a lot, you deadlift a lot, you have all this compression happening on your body, the bars on your back, the bars being held up on your spine. It's constantly compressing you. Reverse hypers and belt squats, let's talk about belt squats here for a second. They're just around your waist, the weight's pulling you down, there's nothing pulling you up. You're not really axially loaded, you're loaded from the pelvis down. It helps decompress the spine. It's really worthwhile. I think everybody should be doing some type of belt squat, even if you just stand in the belt squat to help decompress your spine. Beyond that, reverse hypers, probably way better than the belt squat at decompressing your spine, as the machine actually pulls under. I have the machines here. I'll post videos later on of me doing them. But the machine actually has weight on your feet, and it pulls your back underneath of you. And it really stretches your spine back out. And a lot of people, I see people do reverse hypers at like commercial gyms, if they even have a reverse hyper, and they might put like 145 on each side. And I mean, let's be honest, that's not going to do anything. And the reason it's not going to do anything is you got to think about, everybody wants to squat the big weight. Everybody wants to deadlift the big weight. Deadlifting 315. Oh, I got to do 315 for 4 sets of 6. On deadlifts, I got to do 275, 225, whatever, for 5 sets of 5 on squats there. Cool. Do it. I hope you get them. But if you then are like, well, I need to decompress my spine, let me hop on the reverse hyper here. This guy says doing reverse hyper is good. You just put a fucking plate on each side. Think about all the work and the tonnage that you just put on your spine. Like I said, we'll do 225, 5 sets of 5. That's 225 pounds times 5 times 5. Whatever that works out to be, you did that much work, and that's just that much compression happening on your spine. So if you go put a 45 on each side on a reverse hyper and think it's going to pull your help decompress your spine after all the compression you've just done, you are absolutely wrong. You need to load it up. Maybe load up to 50% or even more than 50% of what you had on the bar. Maybe load up to the same as what you had on the bar and try and build up your glutes, your hamstrings while decompressing your spine. There's no reason you ought to be able to handle that much compression and can't handle that much traction. It makes no sense. Your body needs the traction, and it's going to be one of the best ways to go about healing your back or keeping it from being injured. I mean, the guy who invented it, Louis Simmons, genius, broke his back twice, invented the machine, did the reverse hypers to help perfuse blood to his back, worked, healed his back, never had to have surgery, never had to fuse his spine together or anything. To me, I don't know that it needs that much more of an endorsement. Like, that is a great machine that everybody should be using, plain and simple. But yeah, this is really it for the prehab rehab exercises. I mean, there's not too much in depth to go over. If you want to reach out, please reach out. I highly encourage it. If you have any questions, you could drop them in the chat, or so on and so forth. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to turn this camera off, and if you guys got any questions,